Iyov retorts to friend number two, and in a sense also friend number one. Chapter 9, Vayan Iyov Vayomar, Omnom Yadati Kichein. I know that this is the case, what you said. God's not wrong. If you act nicely, then things will be fine and good. Man can't win an argument with God. Man cannot be sodek. We cannot win. If he insisted on a trial with God, he would not answer one charge in 1,000. I could accuse God of A, B, C, D, and E. It wouldn't matter. Chacham levav yamitz koach, wise of heart and mighty of power. Mi hikshay lav vayishlam. Whoever challenged God and came out whole, you can't win against God. I think we can't say it about God, but we think about court cases and people who are especially powerful and the money they have for the best lawyers and the right that it's very, very difficult. Somebody who was wronged by a big corporation and they want to, a big corporation steals their patents or whatever. It's very hard to win cases like that because they have so much power and so much influence. And obviously that's lahavdil, alfe alafot, how many to tens of thousands of more times, infinite amount more times for God. But think about the difficulty of the lowest man on the totem pole versus the big, the big conglomerate. Let alone, of course, in terms of God. God is chacham levav, he's amitz koach. God's wise of how mighty power. Nobody can challenge. Continuing in verse 5. Hama'ati karim velo yada'u asher hafacham be'apo. He who moves mountains without their knowing it, who overturns them in his anger, right? Good luck to me. God moves mountains. God overturns mountains. Hamargiz eretz bimkoma v'modayit palatzun, who shakes the earth from its place, right? The pillars quake. Haomer lacheres v'lo yizrach, uva'ad kochavim yachtom, who commands the sun not to shine, who seals up the stars. Notesh shamayim livado v'dorech al bamot hayam, who by himself spreads out the heavens and trod on the back of the sea. Phrases that we've seen before in Tanakh many times. Just notesh shamayim, the stretching out, the spreading out of the heavens. We saw a lot in earlier books. What am I supposed to do again, little cockroach? Why is God paying attention to me? How am I supposed to win a battle, a fight, a judgment? Oseh ash ksil v'chima v'chadrei teman. God made the bear, the Orion, Pleiades, and the chambers of the south wind, right? The constellations. Oseg dalot ad ein cheker, v'niflaot ad ein mispar. God who performs great deeds which can't be fathomed. God who makes wondrous things without a knowledge of them. We say that regularly every day after Shema in the evening. We quote that verse about the glory of God. Here, Iyov is saying it about the greatness of God, but in an ironic twist, that God is untouchable and God you can't judge and God you can't get into an argument with. How am I supposed to win an argument? Continuing in verse 11, he passes by me, I don't see him. He goes by me, but I don't perceive, which is amazing. Something that's so powerful. Something if you're a microscopic bug or something, but we're talking about God here. So at the same time, moves mountains and quakes in the earth and stretches out the earth, but can move by me without me even knowing. He snatches away. Who can stop him? Who can say to him, "What are you doing?" Eloha lo yashiva potachtav shachachu ozrei Rahav. God does not restrain his anger under him. Rahav's helpers sink down is what happens. So right, destruction happens, and God is all powerful. And Rahav here seems to be an allusion from Isaiah to Mitzrayim, which was a great power back then. God can destroy everything. Paro thinks he's so great with his outstretched arm, his big hands, the breadbasket of the world. Well, nothing can stand up to God. Continue in verse 14. How could I answer him or choose my arguments against him? How could I win an argument? If I were right, if I was given the chance to speak out and I were right, what would I do? I wouldn't win an argument when I plead for mercy with my judge. Karati v'aneni, if I summoned him and he responded, Lo amin ki azin koli. I don't believe that he would lend me his ear. I don't believe that God would listen to me. Now we have places, of course, in the Tanakh where we have characters who argue with God. Abraham, the stone. God listens and God says, you don't understand the case and the situation. Moshe in the aftermath of the golden calf, God wants to destroy the Jewish people. So we do have instances in places where we have important people, religious, righteous people, communication with God, who argue with the Almighty. But Iyov doesn't even believe that God would listen to him. Now, Abraham at that time and Moshe at that time were not suffering the way Iyov was. So we have there's another layer here. Continuing verse 17, Asher b'sa'ara yishu feini v'hirba pitza'ai chinam. Because God crushes me for a hair, he wounds me much for no cause. Here Iyov moves from wanting to argue with God to once again mention, I am not guilty. I might be guilty of something. I might have done something wrong. But God crushed me like a nothing. I'm like a hair for no reason. There's no reason. It's chinam. It's for nothing that this was done to me. Lo yitneni hashev ruchi ki yispiani mamromim. He doesn't let me catch my breath, but just sates me. I am sovea with bitterness, with mar, over and over again, right? As he said in one of his earlier statements, that God's arrows and poisons are like inside of him. Im lechoach hamitz hine, v'im lishpat mi yodienu. If it's a trial by strength, he's the strong one. If it's trial by court, who will summon him for me? Right? He's not going to come. Im etzdak pi arshieni, tamani v'yaksheni. Though I were innocent, my mouth would condemn me. Even if I was blameless, he would prove me crooked. God could manipulate the situation. God could pay off the judges. God could hire the best attorneys in the world, whatever it means. I'm not going to win, even if he shows up in court. Tamani lo edan nafshi amaschayai. I am blameless. I'm tam. I'm tamim. I didn't do anything wrong. But yet, I am suffering. I am sick of life. Iyov in the past has said, right, curse the day he was born. I don't want to live. And we'll see he's going to change that. But at this point, he says, I'm blameless. And I'm sick of life because life is unfair. And if you remember in the earlier chapters, one of the things he said is, God, leave me alone. Don't pay so close attention. Don't look over me. Right? Again, give the Bnei Israel Hawaii. No neighbors. Don't pay attention to us. Leave us far away here. Let's continue in verse 22. It is all one, therefore I say. He destroys the blameless and the guilty. Right? He's saying there's not this perception which you said to me, both of my friends, which you said to me in the last chapter, that there's order, that God will reward me, and if I return, everything will be fine. Build on. No, it's all one. The blameless, the guilty, they're all destroyed. Just like me, who is tam, who is blameless. Im shot, we're in verse 23, Yamit pitom, masat nikiyim yilag. When suddenly a scourge brings death, he mocks as the innocent fail, right? So, right, the same thing. If there's a plague, if there's no rain, it's not just the wicked who suffer, everybody suffer. And the way he says here that God mocks as the innocent fail, right? God is very damning towards God. You don't care about the suffering of the innocent. It's just, they're just part of what gets caught up in the massacre, in the horror, in the plague. Eretz nitna biad rasha pnei shofteha yichaseh imlo efo mihu. The earth is in the hands of the wicked. God covers his eyes, as it were, the eyes of the judges, and if it is not he, then who? Who is allowing these things to happen? Even if you have a good judge, even if you have a decent judge, right? God is not paying attention. Those who understand this, Viad Rasha, meaning that it's in the hands of Satan. Right, going back to the first chapter, this prosecutor came to God who said, "Yeah, let me go and see what I can do with Iyov. We'll see when things aren't so good to him if he's still such a devout and a wonderful person anymore." That's who the world has been handed over to, and God, as it were, as the judge, is not looking. Or you can look at it as God is the one doing these things, and God is covering the eyes of the judges on earth to not allow it. God is the one who is at fault here. Pasuk Chavhev, Yamai kalu mini rats barchu lo ra'u tova. My days fly swifter than a runner. They flee with right. I run away without seeing happiness. They're very fast. They're moving. Chalfu im oniot eva kenesher yatush alai ochel. They pass like reed boats, like an eagle swooping onto its prey. Right, I'm going by fast, but it doesn't matter. The eagle can still come get me. Im amri ashkecha sichi ezva fanai va'avliga. If I say, I will forget my complaint. I will abandon my complaints and let my worries be diverted away from where they are. Yagorti, verse 28, Kol atzvotai yadati kilo tinakeni. I remain full of sadness, full of suffering. Even right, if I think that things are going to get better, like you said to me, Bildad, I know that God will not acquit me. God is punishing me. I don't know why. I'm blameless. Let me go to court. It won't work. Let me have a test of strength. It won't work. There is no justice. The innocent and the guilty get swept up together in the plague. Anochi ershel lamazeh hevel iga. Verse 29. Right? This is what's eventually again going to happen. I'm the Rasha. I'm the one who's going to be found guilty. I'm going to be the one in the court. I'm going to be the one who swept up. I've done nothing wrong. And therefore, why should I even waste a breath, a hevel on it? Why should I even try to go and to fight against God in judgment or whatever it is? I'm not going to win. Why waste the time? Im hitrachatzti v'mei shaleg v'hazikoti bivor kapai. If I washed my hands with soap, if I cleanse my hands, right, completely with lye, az bishachat titbeleni v'ti avuni salmotai. What would happen? God would dip me in the dung, into the dirt, into the horrors. He would fill my clothes with dirt, right? I clean myself up. And here it's talking, not just cleaning yourself physically, it's cleaning yourself. If you want to accuse me of doing things wrong, and now I'm going to clean myself, I'm going to purify myself, I'm going to do tshuva, I'm going to repent, God will sully my clothing. I will be dipped. I will be full of dirt, right? God will look at me in a sense in that way. Kiloish kamoni anenu navo yachdav b'mishpat. He's not like a man that I can answer him, that we can go together to a judgment. Lo yesh beinenu mochiach yashet yado al shenenu. There is no mochiach. There's no somebody who can arbiter between us. There's not somebody who can settle the argument between us. Somebody who could lay hands on the both of us, give us both, put our hands around both of our shoulders and say, guys, we'll work this thing out. Yaser me'alai shivto ve'imato al tivaatani. If God would take his rod away from me, if God would not let his terror frighten me, adabra velo irenu, kilo chen anochi imadi, then I would speak out without fear of God, because I know that is not the way it's going to be, right? So here we see it again, Iyov complaining to his friends, and he still has this resignation in this chapter. He still has this sense of less so than in other chapters, but death and the horrors that have become him. And he sees that his friends are not being friends. He had complaints about in the last chapter. Last time he spoke a couple chapters ago of them not supporting him. And it's almost, he knows he can't prove anything to God. He knows he can't switch God's mind. He knows, but he's saying to his friends, if there was a court case, I know I would be in the right. I would be able to convince God of it, but maybe I would be able to convince you guys of it. He doesn't say that directly to them, but I see that underneath, that you would know that I am right, that you would know that I am strong. And here we see, again, there is some more blaming, more anger, questioning the idea of justice that Eliphaz and Bildad have said to Iyov. He sees this world is not a just world. This world is a difficult world, and he wants to make sure that that's not what's going to happen. He wants to move away from that direction, and we'll see as he continues, and in the next chapter, he's going to be even more forceful in his accusations and as he continues with his speeches, because he knows that he is true and he is correct, and he will continue to shout it from the rooftops and anywhere else, even if God won't hear, God won't appear, and even if his friends stuck in their religious ways and sentiments won't listen to him.